we first met in this building in 2001. You hosted my first SNL, which is not the most memorable part of that. It was also the first SNL after 9/11, which was a crazy SNL to host.
Yes.
Very burdensome. I will say from my side, it was lovely to have somebody come in who is as sort of upbeat and wonderful as you were.
What you meant was as terrified as you were. Yeah.
But I always felt bad for you because it was both of our first SNLs.
Yeah.
I then got to like stick around and do them as they got farther away from 9/11.
Yeah.
But that's your only experience.
And I waited 15 years to come back.
Yeah, exactly. That was very
I
smart.
got really freaked out.
Yeah. But
It was a lot of pressure, but
Yeah.
I was really happy to do it because, Lauren felt really strongly that the city needed to laugh and that people needed to know that Americans weren't going to we weren't going to sit down and not let joy come back into our lives.
And it was lovely because I do feel like doing that show, everyone said, I'm so glad the show is back. And then like 2 weeks later, they were like, this show sucks. It was only good in the 70s. And that's when I really knew, that it was really back, that we were okay.
Amazing. You were so good.
I was not fishing. So congratulations on this film. You had the premiere the other night.
Yes.
Was this a book that you were familiar with?
Yes, I read this book when I was 12, and I just loved it, Wrinkle in Time. And I read every book in the series because I was also a little bit of a nerd. And I just thought it was magical. I loved sci-fi as a little girl, and I didn't always find books that had a girl at the center of a sci-fi story. So it was really exciting. And my kids read the book, too, in 6th grade.
And were they excited when you get cast in a book they've read?
Yeah, they were really excited. But I said to my son, I said, well, because I couldn't really remember what the character was. And I said, well, Ava DuVernay just called me and asked me if I'd be Mrs. Whatsit. And he's like, Mrs. Whatsit, like a really, really old lady? And I was like, really? So I called my agent and I go, she wants me to play like I'm over 40 in Hollywood, but I mean, really? Like a really old lady? And so anyway, she said, no, I want to reimagine it as these incredible celestial beings who are funny. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, cool. Oh, cool, yeah,
Good,
yeah.
because I also saw myself as more of a celestial being. Yeah.
Yeah, less old lady, like more like a star falling from the sky.
You have incredible co-stars. Mindy Kaling is one of them, who I adore, and she's just wonderful.
Love Mindy.
Just the best.
You guys, Mindy Kaling, we would like joke on this set because it was like me, Oprah, Mindy Kaling, and like every time Mindy would walk out the door, she'd come back, she'd be like, well, I rewrote a script and I also did a podcast and I also wrote my new episode of my new television show. I was like, I mean, what? And then Oprah would be over there going like, I have to do a board meeting on the phone. Can you guys be quiet? I'm also finding a new CEO for Weight Watchers and I was like, I got to step up my game, you guys.
You have been stepping up your game. You're selling yourself short because you've been producing.
I got to keep up with Mindy and Oprah.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very unfair bar to set. But real quick, how is it to be around Oprah?
It's amazing. I can't actually believe they paid me American dollars to get to sit next to her and learn she's just, I was scared too, because sometimes you meet your heroes and they're not as awesome as you want them to be. She's better than I imagined.
I once sat next to her at a restaurant, and I so wanted to go over and say hi, but then I also thought, I think Oprah, more than anyone, deserves a quiet meal. And then I shifted from not only was I not going to say hi, but if anyone approached the table, I'd take a swing at them. You're like, you leave this woman alone!
She's an American treasure!
She's done so much for you!
Oh, see, I go the other way and go, want to be best friends?
Oh, right. Well, that would
I'm really fun at parties.
But again, you also have been so prolific. You've been producing shows. You produced Big Little Lies. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
I know, obviously, this is one of those shows that you can't talk too much about, but certainly season 2 has some very exciting casting news.
So, y'all, we're starting next Friday on Big Little Lies 2. I can't believe it. And not only we have every cast member coming back, but also Meryl Streep is joining us.
It's just... What is that like? What is the moment where you get Meryl Streep to agree to do your show?
Well, she sent an email to Nicole and I, and it said, okay, I read the part and I love it and I'm going to do it. And I dropped the phone, like mic drop, but phone dropped. And I was like, poof. And then I called Nicole and I was like, is this real life? Like, is this really happening? And then I got off the phone with Nicole and I hugged myself gently for a minute and said, this this is really happening. You're really working with Meryl Streep. And then I called the writer and go, you better write me good scenes with Meryl Streep.
Do you think Meryl Streep historically, every time she said, I'll do the part, has then hears a phone hit the ground? Like, that's just what she goes
Or like
through.
somebody just falling over, like, boom.
She says, I have some news for you, but I want to make sure you're near a hospital.
Yeah. Are you sitting down?
Well, congratulations on that. I'm so excited to watch it. Congrats on the movie, and it's always such a pleasure to see you. Thanks for
So
being
nice
here.
to see you.